Good wishes, dear students. The concept you will be learning in today's class is wave-particle duality of matter and Davison and Germer experiment to support the same concept. Before we move into that, I would like to quickly give you the summary of the concepts you learnt in the previous class. As you know, J.J. Thomson said atom is spherical in shape. It's made up of positively charged particle and negatively charged particle. He said the negatively charged particle, that is electrons, are placed like seeds in the watermelon. Rutherford brought about the theory atoms has got a positively charged unit in it called as a nucleus, and electrons are revolving around the nucleus. Thomson said electrons are placed and Rutherford said electrons are revolving around the nucleus. Then came Bohr atom model. He talked about the energy electrons energy can be quantized and they can be moved from one orbital to the one energy level to the energy and another energy level and so on. But he also did not say why electrons are moving around the nucleus. To understand the concept why electrons are moving, you need to know the wave-particle duality of matter. Now, as you know, duality stands for two characters. Now, electrons has got a two character. One, it has got a particle character or a Bohr nature and a wave nature. So, these two natures are called, electron has got a particle nature and a wave nature. Einstein was the first person to say that light has got a dual nature. Now, based on that, if light can have a dual nature, the scientist called de Broglie came forward. If light can have the dual nature, all forms of matter also can have or can show a dual character. To support his idea, he needed a proof. For that, he made use of equations for the wavelength of matter. So, the wave character of, energy of the wave character of matter or electron was put forward by Planck in the form of an equation E is equals to h mu. And it was energy of the particle character of electron was put forward by Einstein. He said E is equals to mc square. On both the side, when we cancel out energy, finally we get h mu is equals to mc square. You also have learnt in the lower classes, mu can be represented as c by lambda. C stands for velocity of light. So substituting that into in place of mu, h into c by lambda is equals to mc square. If we rearrange, because we need to calculate the wavelength of matter in terms of a wave character and in terms of a particle character, we arrive at the formula lambda is equals to h by mc. So this is in terms of wave character. The same thing if we substitute here, we get so lambda is equals to h by mc in terms of wave character, wavelength of the wave character, and in terms of a particle character, the formula is lambda is equals to h by mv. So what was the conclusion of de Broglie's wavelength equation? He said, for a particle traveling at a speed much less than the speed of light, these equations will give us the solution. That is, the above equations were suitable. So as a result, moving particles can be considered as a wave. And wave exhibits the properties of momentum of a particle. Momentum, when we say motion of a body, how do we calculate it? Mass of the body into velocity of the speed with which it's moving. When we multiply, we get the momentum. To support this, we can divide it into two concepts and see particle of high linear momentum and a microscopic particle of low linear momentum. For this, wavelength will be small. Hence, it cannot be observed. But here, wavelength will be much larger. Hence, it can be observed. Here, it cannot be observed and here it can be observed. To understand better, he also gave us a two example. One is mass of the moving iron ball and mass of the electron. So, electron will come under microscopic particle. Mass of the moving iron ball will come under particle of high linear momentum. So the mass is already given 6.626 kg and the speed is given 10 meter per second. In case of electron, mass is equals to 9.11 into 10 to the power minus 31 kg and the speed is 72.73 meter per second. More than the example, the concept given here you need to understand. So nothing to get worked up. As we know, the formula in terms of particle wavelength for a particle is lambda is equals to h by mv. We know h is a Planck's constant value and the mass value is given, velocity value is given. When we substitute and do the calculations, we arrive at the answer 1 into 10 to the power minus 35 meter. On the other hand, when we calculate the wavelength for a moving electron, we get the answer to be same formula. Substituting the values when we get the answer to be 1 into 10 to the power minus 5 meter. The conclusion is greater the mass, small will be the wavelength. You know that minus 35 and minus 5 when you look, minus 5 is still the lesser value. Minus 5 has got a greater value. So greater the mass, lesser will be the wavelength value. Lesser the wavelength value, less it can be observed here. On the other hand, when you have a smaller mass, greater will be the wavelength. Between minus 35 and minus 5 is greater. So smaller the mass, greater will be the wavelength. So the same point I have written, smaller the mass, greater will be the wavelength. When the wavelength is greater, it is easily, can be identified. So in this case, it's an insignificant. The value of it is an insignificant. In this case, it is a significant. This theory was supported by Davison and Germer experiment. This was the mathematical way or theoretical way of proving the truth that all matters have got a dual character. Theoretically, experimentally, these scientists proved that. What was the thing they have done it? Accelerated beam of electrons were made to fall on the nickel crystal. As a result, there were diffraction pattern created here. The pattern created by this accelerated beam of electron was similar to the X-ray diffraction pattern. Hence, they agreed, yes, all particles have got a dual character in nature. Based on that, few developments were done like an electron microscope, low energy electron diffraction, etc. Thank you.